My dad loved westerns, so I grew up watching a lot of Clint Eastwood movies. But as a director, he really only came onto my radar with Mystic River. That movie kinda blew my mind, and I still think it's phenomenal. And he's made a bunch of really good movies since then too, like Million Dollar Baby, Letters from Iwo Jima, and Gran Torino. And I've liked a lot of the other stuff too, even though it's maybe not great. But I feel like his output this last decade has been a little bit shaky. And he hasn't done a lot of acting either, but now he's back. And the movie looked pretty solid, so I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit excited to see this. But did it deliver? Well, in some ways, yeah. In other ways, not so much. So this is a story about a 90-year-old man who gets involved with the Mexican cartel. And if you know what a mule is, you can probably figure out what his job is. And as a premise, it sounds a little bit silly actually. But if you watch the movie, it kinda makes sense. It's also based on a real story, so there's that part too. How much is accurate? I have no idea. But I think the fundamental premise is at least based in reality. Maybe the whole family drama and the personal angle to the story isn't. But that doesn't really matter. So we follow this old guy, and we get to learn about his life and what's important to him. And about all the drama that's been going on, involving his kids and his ex-wife. We also learn about the motivations behind his actions. Why he did it. And that's the core of the story here. But then there's also the DEA investigation, with Bradley Cooper and Michael Peña, who are investigating the cartel. So the movie is sort of split between the two, with a much heavier emphasis on the old guy. Now in general I like the movie, but it's definitely not great. That being said, there's not much I disliked either. There's not a lot of real issues I can point to. A lot of my problems are kind of vague and not that specific. Like the biggest issue being the part with the DEA. It just didn't feel very interesting. And overall the movie had a very dry feel to it. I don't know how else to explain it. It lacked energy and a little bit of extra something to spice things up. I wouldn't call it boring exactly, because I was never bored by it. But it just felt a little bit bland. That being said, it also had a lot of good stuff in it. And Clint Eastwood is the star of the show here. His character and his performance is really good. And just a joy to watch. I liked him a lot in this, and he basically carries the entire movie. The story is solid too, and the filmmaking. But it's really the character that stands out here. And that's the only character that really stands out and gets much attention at all. Bradley Cooper was actually pretty good in this too though, especially considering he doesn't have that much to work with. But toward the end there he did make the character come alive a bit more. Now there are some other issues too, like the old man's character arc. It felt a tad bit cheesy to be honest, and we've all seen it a million times before. And some of that stuff relating to his family actually felt a bit too rushed. But none of it was really terrible. I just think the script could have used some polishing. They could have cleaned up a few things, and maybe sprinkled in a little bit something extra too. But overall it's a solid movie. It works and I thoroughly enjoyed the main performance. Will I remember this one in 10 years when I look back at my favorite Clint Eastwood movies? Probably not, but it's still not a bad movie. So would I recommend it? Yeah, maybe. If it sounds interesting, give it a shot. Or don't. I'm not your geriatric granddad. But I am trying to sell out, so consider liking, subbing, hitting that bell and supporting me on Patreon. Because I really need that brand spanking new Tesla pickup truck. And hey, why not drop a comment below or check out another review? I'd appreciate it. Thanks.